Before we begin, if you like what you hear on the Tin and J-Man Show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and go ahead and click subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We encourage you to interact with us and keep up to date with the Tin and J-Man Show on social media by liking our Facebook page and following us on Twitter and Instagram at Tin and J-Man Show. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of the Tin and J-Man Show with your hosts Tanner Lee and Josh the J-Man Munt.
It is time for another episode of the Tan and J-Man Show. What episode is this?
184.
184, and it is brought to you by The Dam Landing. Whether you want an epic burger, hand-tossed pizza, hand-breaded tenderloin, seafood, craft beer, or a handcrafted cocktail, The Dam Landing is the place to be. The Dam is a bar and grill located on beautiful Lake Manitou that focuses on freshness and quality. The Dam Smoke every weekend, Friday and Saturday. Is that correct?
I believe so.
You get ribs, all sorts of stuff.
Barbecue and steaks.
Barbecue and steaks, yes, it says this in the read, and I just completely glossed over it. In addition, you can wash it down with one of their 16 beers on tap, including a constant rotation of today's best microbrews and domestic flavors, or a handcrafted cocktail made using fresh ingredients. Take in the fantastic views of Lake Manitou in their beer garden or outdoor bar area, whether it be boat or wheels. The Dam Landing is the place to be, located at 1305 Ewing Road in Rochester. Their number is 574-223-8950. Limited seating is available at 50% capacity right now, but they are taking the precautions to keep everyone safe, and taco break is open as well.
Yeah, good stuff.
Good stuff.
You still haven't had the ribs, have you?
No, I was gone for Memorial. Happy Memorial Day, everyone, too.
Yes.
To all the vets out there.
Especially the ones that made the ultimate sacrifice.
Yes, that made the ultimate sacrifice. And that's what this day is all about.
Yep.
But no, I did not. I have not had the ribs. I have had the tacos. I've said it like 3 weeks. They are delicious.
Maybe this upcoming weekend for you.
Maybe.
Strong maybe. So, you ready for some Birdie Bogey?
Let's hear it. I'm nervous.
All right. I think you got a really good chance to get this one right.
It's usually the kiss of death.
It is baseball related. So, since 1965, I really hope I got the year correct. There have been 2 number 1 overall draft picks for the MLB to make the Hall of Fame. Who are they?
Number 1 overall picks. Okay, that is a good question. I'm very nervous about it, though. But Birdie Bogey is brought to you by Noble Gnome LLC, fresh, locally grown, nutrient-dense produce. From Bryce and Katie Romine of Mentone, Indiana. Like them on Facebook, follow them on Instagram, and check out their website, Noble Gnome LLC. Do you know where they were at this past weekend?
They were at the Kosciuszko County Farmers Markets. I shared that right on the Tan and J-Man Show Facebook page, which give us a like on Facebook if you haven't already, please.
They have lettuce heads, salad mix, radishes, carrots, kale, rhubarb, and asparagus. Get your veggies.
I was going to steal your line from you.
You should have.
Nah, I don't do it as well as you do.
You know, sometimes I need to just pause right before I say veggies. I might just do like 10 minutes worth, and we're just going to, in the middle of the show, I'm just going to be like, veggies? And you're just not even going to know why I said it. But and that kind of ruined it, and I'm sorry I said
whatever
that.
You want to do, J-Man.
Next week's the week.
It's half your show, so that's how you roll.
Ready to be educated on this day?
I'm looking forward to this on this day. Could be a good one, I think.
Could be. We don't know, because I don't know. I haven't looked at them yet.
Good.
1922. Old George Herman Ruth.
He wasn't bad.
Also known as Babe. Suspended 1 day and fined $200 for throwing dirt on an umpire.
Real question. Did they name the candy bar after it? Well, that's the Baby Ruth, isn't it? Babe Ruth.
They might have.
But never mind. That was stupid. I was thinking it was a Babe Ruth candy bar in my head, and it's Baby Ruth.
I mean, it could be. I'm sure Baby Ruth was invented probably before Babe Ruth.
Do you like Baby Ruth?
I don't like nuts, peanuts, anything.
What is your favorite candy bar?
I'm a big Twix guy.
I like Twix.
I like the crunch.
Yeah.
Like the caramel. Like the chocolate.
I like Butterfingers, I think.
I changed my mind. I'm a big Butterfinger guy.
I like Snickers, especially if they're frozen. You
I don't like peanuts.
You don't like peanuts.
No. Milky Way's okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of under same.
Three Musketeers.
It's kind of, yeah. I'm a big fan. It's not a candy bar, but I'm a big fan of the peanut butter M&Ms.
Oh, those are good.
That's kind of my go-to.
You know what's underrated, I think?
Candy.
The strawberry Twizzlers.
Oh, I love Twizzlers.
And I say strawberry because I had cherry before, and I thought they were terrible.
I like the cherry ones as well.
I do. Man, those strawberry Twizzlers.
But the strawberry one, have you ever had Red Vines?
Yeah.
They're good as well. They're kind of like Twizzlers.
I'm a big Sour Patch Kids fan and candy like that. But
a guy I work with brought in a big bag of Swedish fish.
Those are good.
So I've been indulging on the Swedish
We
fish.
better get off the candy topic and back on track here.
Baby Ruth was fined $200.
What did he do again?
For throwing dirt on an umpire.
Yeah, he probably deserved it.
In 1922, he was making $52,000, which in today's world would be like $1.35 million. $200 back then inflates to $5,179, so he essentially got fined $5,100. But $200 back then.
All right.
They called that the Roaring 20s. 1935, track and field athlete Jesse Owens equals or breaks 4 world records in 45 minutes.
He was unbelievable.
At a Big Ten meet at Ferry Field in Ann Arbor, Michigan, remembered as the greatest 45 minutes ever in sports.
The Ohio State University.
Yes. He was
and then, of course, he put on a show at the Olympics in front of Hitler.
That was classic. Mm-hmm. 1935, also, that same day, Babe Ruth hit his last 3 home runs in Pittsburgh. Can you name what team he was playing for?
Was it the Athletics?
Boston Braves.
Oh, jeez.
Who went 38-115 that year.
Wow.
And Babe hit like 160.
I knew there was a team after the Yankees. I thought it was Athletics, though.
Nope, went back to Boston to play for a different franchise.
Forgot Boston had 2 franchises.
1941, old Teddy Ballgame, Ted Williams raises his batting average over 400 for the first time in 1941.
You know, I'd be interested if we went back sometime, which we're not going to because it's 184 episodes worth. I don't know when we started on this day, though, but it was pretty early on in our podcast to see what athlete has been featured the most. I want to say it's Ted Williams.
It might be Ted Williams. He's been featured a bunch. 1948. The PGA Championship was played on this day. Can you tell me who won?
48?
Yeah.
Ben Hogan?
Ben Hogan scores a convincing 7-6 win over Mike Ternesa. I don't know what that means.
That was just a guess.
What does that mean? Convincing 7-6 win.
I wonder if it was match play.
Huh.
And he got 7 up with 6 holes left or something. I don't, because if not, I don't know what that means.
1951, New York Giant Willie Mays plays his first major league game.
He's pretty good.
Goes 0 for 5. Let's see here. 1959, U.S. Supreme Court rules Louisiana prohibiting black and white boxing unconstitutional. It's a good one. Let's see. 1965, Muhammad Ali KO's Sonny Liston and won for heavyweight boxing title rematch.
I bet his name was Cassius Clay at the time. I'm not sure about that, though.
It says Muhammad Ali.
Oh, okay.
But they might not have just...
I could be wrong. I don't know when he changed his name.
1970, the third ABA championship was played. Who won?
1970?
Yeah.
ABA. Let's go with the Nets.
The Indiana Pacers beat the LA Stars 4-2.
Didn't they win back-to-back titles?
Doesn't say. 1972, heavyweight Joe Frazier KOs Ron Stander.
Down goes Frazier.
1975, the 29th NBA championship was played. Who won 1975?
75. Let's go.
They swept the Washington Bullets.
So it was a team in the West. Let's go with the Lakers.
Golden State Warriors.
Ooh.
Although this website says the Golden Warriors.
John Barry? Not John. John's one of the sons.
Rick,
John,
maybe.
Rick, Brent, and John were the sons.
1975, Indianapolis 500 was played. Who won?
75?
Yeah.
500 was held, not played.
Was held, sorry.
So let's go with one of the Andretti's.
Bobby Unser.
Okay. Darn it. One of the other families. That was weird this weekend without the 500. I know you don't watch it, and I don't watch a ton of it usually, but it was still weird.
I did not notice.
All over Twitter, people.
I didn't notice.
Well, because it was such a nice weekend weather-wise, too.
It was a good one.
But fingers crossed. I think it will happen, but will fans be in attendance? Who knows? But for August 23rd, that's when it's...
Is that when it's slated?
That's when it's rescheduled to run. IndyCar's back next weekend, I believe. Not this upcoming weekend, next weekend.
Neato.
PGA Tour will be back in 2 weeks. NASCAR's still running. Brad Keselowski won the Coca-Cola 600 last night in Charlotte. That was their third race already without fans. They ran one Wednesday. They went Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday this past week.
Is that not normal?
They don't run races on Wednesday nights usually.
Weekend or weekdays, do they?
Well, usually they'll run Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the 3 circuits. But yep.
1981, Bobby Unser becomes first Indy 500 winner to be disqualified.
Wonder what he did.
1982, Fergie Jenkins becomes 7th pitcher to strike out 3,000 batters.
It's a pretty good one.
His number retired, along with Greg Maddox's number 31 at Wrigley Field.
You're right. You got that right on the Cubs trivia a few weeks ago.
I did. One of the few ones I got right. 1984, Red Sox trade pitcher Dennis Eckersley to the Cubs for Billy Buckner. I bet Billy Buckner wishes he never would have been traded. Dennis Eckersley was not very good for the Cubs either. Then he becomes a great closer with Oakland. And 1986, Kansas City Royal George Brett got his 2000th hit.
It's a good one.
It's kind of a milestone. Not a huge milestone, but let's see. Not much in the 90s. Who won the 2003 Indianapolis 500?
Buddy Rice?
Gil Dave Ferron.
Never heard of him. I was hoping that was the year Buddy Rice won the rain-shortened one and Letterman was his owner of the car, but that was probably later in 03.
What about 2008?
08? How about Helio Castroneves?
Scott Dixon.
Gosh, dang it.
What about
I know the names. I don't know the years.
What about 2014?
Ooh, 14. Let's go with Helio.
Ryan Hunter-Reay.
I didn't know he won one. I've heard of him, but
who won the 2014 Senior PGA Tour Championship?
Let's go with Bernard Lawner.
Colin Montgomery
gosh dang it.
Scotland.
Yeah, he never won a
first of 3 champions.
He never won a major on the PGA Tour.
Won by 4 strokes over old Tommy Watson.
Gosh darn it.
That'll do it for On This Day. Who is that sponsored by there, T-Dog?
That is sponsored by Proforma Print House. Are you looking for a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or sales meeting? Proforma Print House has over 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for fast and efficient response for all your print needs. You need to look no further. Let them be your one-source print and promotional company. Call them today at 574-210-3815, or you can email Barbara von Weinsberg at barbara.weinsberg@proforma.com. She is an excellent sales rep for them and helps me a lot in my everyday job with getting us promotional products. Ordered a bunch of golf umbrellas this past week for First Fed. So,
nice.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep.
The J-Man got his bucket prediction right from last week. I picked Tiger and Peyton to win the match.
That's right.
And before we get to talk about the match, this will be the J-Man's bucket prediction of the week.
Doing it early.
I think by this time next week, Major League Baseball will have a date in place to when they're going to start, at the very least, spring training.
All right. Well, summer training.
Summer training, sorry. I do think they'll be playing in their home ballparks in the spring during the preseason.
I won't hold this against you, but do you want to throw out a date or around a date that you think they could be looking at?
It is May 25th right now, isn't it?
Yes. I'll look at my computer, see what day it was.
I'm going to say June.
Oh, going June.
5th. Well, I'm.
This is for the.
Okay.
Just for
when.
That makes sense.
Hey, I don't know exactly. I think by the end of the week, it'd have to be probably by Friday. them to announce the date. But I think like June 15th-ish will be where
now
I think
give them about 3 weeks or so.
3 weeks, get to like 4th of July or maybe the week after 4th of July. Hopefully we'll get baseball if they can come to an agreement. It's not going to be ideal for really anyone, players or the managers, but I think it could do irreparable damage to the sport to not play it this year.
I do too. I really do.
They need to compromise.
Because, like, and I know this might upset some people.
I'm already upset.
I mean, you're a diehard baseball fan. You're one of the biggest, if not the biggest baseball fan I know.
This has been awful.
I'm a very casual fan, so really baseball being away hasn't affected me too much.
No?
I mean, I love it to be on right now because it would give me something to watch, but
it's kind of the same
really
way
affected me.
with you and golf.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
Golf
That's a great comparison.
and the Masters, and
it's a great comparison.
I didn't really care.
Yeah,
I haven't been missing it at all.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
So it's similar.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. The NBA is getting close.
Yeah,
maybe they're returning.
There were rumors. What was it, like June 25th? They'll be open for like practices, and
they
July 15th.
They got to make a decision soon. Because if not,
if they're going to come back, it has to be just you can't start right where the regular season picked up because it'll go into the other
there's
season.
14 or 15 games.
You can't do that. It has to go straight to the playoffs.
If they do it that way, they have to push back their start date to December, which they should do anyways, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just going to start a vicious cycle. Do you just cut
Shorten
the next
season.
year, kind of like their strike year?
I think they should anyways. You start around Christmas, and then you go, you take the games off of October and November and most of December, and then just play.
And there's 15 games left. I'm looking at the playoff races.
Yeah.
And for the 8 seed, I mean, the closest team in the East is 5.5 games out. Closest team in the West is 3.5 games out of the 8 spot. So, will those teams even be able to make up that kind of ground in 15 games,
Yeah.
I mean, it'd screw up maybe seeding-wise.
The West is closer, though.
3.5 games.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
But I mean, you have 3 teams that are tied for the 5th spot, and they're only 1 game out of the 4th spot, and only like 2.5 games out of the 3rd spot, and only 3 games out of the 2nd.
Yeah.
It screw up the seeding.
Yeah.
But something's going to have to be done in order to just finish
you
the
see what the
season.
NHL is thinking about doing? Mm-hmm. Bringing back 24 of the 30 teams. So they're going to take the 6 worst teams and say, you're done for the year. The top 4 in each conference battles out with each other for seeding. So they're just playing each other for seeding. Then the rest is playoff format of the other teams to see who gets in the playoffs.
I like that. I'm trying to look who the 6 worst teams would be.
I don't know.
Detroit 17-49.
Talk about a team that has been so good in our lifetime and the last few years has just hit the skids.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about them why, but
really
you hate to see it, I should say, as an Avalanche.
I mean, they're 17-49. Ottawa's 25-34.
Yeah.
But you look at all the other teams.
Yeah.
There's very few under 500 teams in hockey. You have
some would give
San Jose's 29-36, the LA Kings 29-35, and Anaheim 29-33. And then you have New Jersey's 28-29, and that's the only other. And Buffalo's 30-31. So there's not too many just truly god-awful teams in hockey. So that'd be interesting to see how they could do that. But it probably needs to be done.
I think the players approved it. Now they're waiting, I think, on the approval of the owners, maybe?
Strange times.
Yeah, I know the Phase 2 of the NHL allows for small group training. So,
and NBA... or they're allowed to open up their facilities for workouts.
Yeah, it's going to be a 2014 playoff. That's what it's going to be.
Huh.
So it's not even technically the season. It's going to be 2014 playoff format.
Like round robin style?
Well, let me see here.
That'd be awesome. Or
the 7 non-playoff teams season would be over. 24 teams would advance to the playoffs.
Do an NCAA tournament style.
So you have top seeds in the East would be the Bruins, the Lightning, the Capitals, and the Flyers. And your play-in series will be the Penguins against the Canadiens, Hurricanes against the Rangers, Islanders against the Panthers, Maple Leafs versus the Blue Jackets. In the West, you'd have the Blues as the 1 seed, Avalanche as the 2, Golden Knights as the 3, and the Stars at the 4. Your play-in would be the Oilers against the Blackhawks, Predators against Coyotes, Canucks against the Wild, Flames against the Jets.
Would it be like a best of 3?
The top 4 teams in each conference wouldn't sit. Top 4 teams would essentially play some form of a round-robin tournament that would potentially reseed them before the round of 16.
Okay. Interesting.
And Vegas, it sounds like Vegas might be the hub of where they play all the games. They said they have 4 hub arena sites for restart, with Vegas being considered the favorite.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Is there a date they're looking at to start this thing up, or
don't see it in this article?
Would it be like early August, maybe, or maybe mid-July?
I think they got to get it going soon because they're going to have to get back and get in condition.
Well, yeah, their season starts like even a month before the NBA's does, so it'd be mid-September.
And the NHL was already looking at, as was the NBA, of shortening the season because I think they play way too long as well. So.
I don't know how many games they play in the NHL. Is it the same as? Is it 82?
I think it is. I'm going to look that up.
You both need to probably shorten it by 10 to 15 games, in my opinion. Because, for one, the playoffs in the NBA start early April. They're not done until the end of June. That's just a little
82
ridiculous.
Game season.
82? Okay. Cut down to 70.
Yeah, that'd be fine. So,
although I get really upset when people tell me baseball needs to cut down from 162, so.
Yeah. Well, the NFL's going to expand here in a year. So, but yes, you were talking about the match.
I was.
A little bit. That was on yesterday on TNT. Tiger Woods, Peyton Manning versus Phil Mickelson, Tom Brady. Tiger and Peyton were victorious by 1. It got pretty tight at the end. Got entertaining towards the end. At the turn, Tiger and Peyton were up 3. So Tom and Phil made a charge on the back 9 a little bit. Tom Brady finally started getting going because he was taking a bashing on Twitter because he was god awful at the beginning, which was kind of fun to see an elite athlete struggle.
I was just about to say that it kind of humanized him a little bit.
But I kind of felt bad for him. Peyton was playing pretty well, and Tom was just not.
I don't feel bad for Tom Brady. You kidding me?
He actually came across a lot more likable than I hate to admit yesterday. He showed a lot of personality.
I'm sure he's not. I mean, he's funny on Twitter.
Yeah.
I did enjoy him splitting his pants. That was kind of...
Right after he holds it, the shot is there, he splits his pants and has to wear rain pants. Why he was wearing pants to begin with, I don't know. The other guys were wearing shorts.
Yeah.
Which is one thing I think the PGA needs to change. They already let the guys wear shorts in practice rounds. Just let them wear shorts when they want to. It looks professional. They don't look bad. I mean, I think that's what they've always been worried about, not looking professional. They still dress nice. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe they're worried about tattoos, but who cares? That's pretty old school mentality.
Look at all the other sports. No one else has a uniform that's professional.
I know
it was. I watched maybe 2 holes worth. It was fun to see Tiger Woods hop in a cart and go to his ball.
Yeah, and I thought the commentary was great. I thought Justin Thomas did a great job on the course. The commentary. Barkley was hilarious. Ernie Johnson did a good job. Trevor Immelman did a good job. It was a lot more entertaining than the match with Dustin Johnson, Roy McIlroy, Matthew Wolff, and Ricky Fowler. And the people who watched that were just golf fans. This probably had a lot more people watching that aren't golf fans just because of the names in it.
It was the most watched golf event of all time, 5.8 million viewers. It was, I mean, Peyton's always funny. He's anyway.
Jokes.
But it was funny. I think it was right before the match. He said, I was thinking who could be my caddy. Eli.
Yeah.
Or I thought about bringing out Nick Foles.
Yep.
Goes like low blow or something like that.
And then I was laughing one time. Tom Brady was going to stomp on Peyton Manning's head cover for a driver because it's the Tennessee mascot, and Tom's like, "They've been awful since you left." Which actually the year after Peyton left, they won the national championship. Title, but he's like, when have they been good since you left? And all of a sudden, Peyton's like, we're going to get back. And Tom called Peyton Pay Dirt. That must be just his nickname. They called him that all day long. As much as I love Phil Mickelson, he didn't shut up the whole match. And Tiger at one time was like, see what I have to deal with all the time. Which it's neat that they finally get along. There was a long period they did not get along at all. But
Tiger was growing a nice beard.
Yeah, he's got a little beard going. I thought he played pretty well. I thought Phil played okay.
Wasn't great conditions. It rained pretty much the whole time.
They kept having to take their rain gear off and on. Cool course, Medalist course, which is Tiger's home course. That's why Justin Thomas, he lives right around that area too, so that's why he was the on the course commentator. And he's really good friends with Tiger, even though their age difference is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But Yeah, pretty neat. I'm just ready for the tour to get going again in 2 weeks, even though the first 4 tournaments at least will be without crowds. But mic them up or something like they have been. I don't know. I don't know really if you could do that, because what if you mic up somebody and then they start playing terrible and somebody playing really good? I don't know. But
yeah, I kind of thought about that, because like I'm sure the other guys could hear what like the commentators are saying, and like Brady's just playing awful, and they're just kind of ripping into him.
They probably muted him at times, but
still,
yeah,
I wouldn't like that.
It was funny seeing them hold their tongue too. Like you could tell they really wanted to curse sometimes, and they knew they couldn't.
They have a dump button, right?
Yeah.
That's why they should have done it on like HBO. Or,
well, last year's match they tried to do it on Bleacher Report Live, and it screwed up so bad they had to just make it free, because it was like $30, and then the stream wasn't going well, and it was a disaster. But so
gave you something to watch yesterday.
It gave me something to watch. I have family in town this weekend, so I didn't watch a ton of it, but I watched probably about half. I watched the last couple of holes, and it was entertaining. I didn't care who won, because I like Phil and I like Peyton. I don't like Tiger and I don't like Tom. So I wish it was Phil and Peyton against Tiger and Tom.
I didn't even think about it as somebody could possibly win it. I just thought they were out there having fun, doing something for charity.
It all goes to charity, which they raised over $20 million.
Which is
they were
insane.
playing for 10, and then they got over 10 with the donations, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. But they're all competitors, man. They were trying their hardest.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. And Tom did not look happy when he was not playing very well.
One interesting thing, Tom Brady never hit driver yesterday. Hit 3-wood for every tee shot that called for a driver. And Justin Thomas goes, I've played a lot with Tom Brady, and he hits a driver pretty well, so I don't know why he's not hitting driver.
I wonder if he was just nervous.
But he outdrove Peyton, and they had a long drive competition on a hole between the quarterbacks. He outdrove Peyton by exactly a yard with his 3-wood compared to Peyton's driver. But
interesting.
Good stuff. Yep, entertaining. So
I saw this question from Twitter.
Right.
If you could put on one crossover sporting event similar to the match, what would it be, and what athletes would you like to have partake?
Well, I'll answer the athlete part first. Give me LeBron.
I was thinking LeBron.
Because I really want to see him on a football field. Really bad.
Yeah, as a tight end or something?
Yeah, and I don't know how you do that. I just want to see him. Because the rumor has it he was a heck of a football player. And
I could see. He wouldn't block a soul.
No.
Don't need him to. Just go up, catch the ball. He'd be tough to bring down,
But as far as, like, if we're just going to do, like, so if he has to go play football, and if I was to choose a football player to play basketball, OBJ maybe?
Be a good one.
Just trying to think of a really athletic guy. I could see being pretty good at basketball.
Cam Newton would probably be a pretty good basketball player.
I feel like you could pick almost any tall wide receiver.
Yeah.
But a lot of baseball players are good at golf, so I don't want to choose like that, because a lot of them can mash. I've heard crazy stories about Albert Pujols' tee shots, how far they fly. But it is entertaining to watch other athletes take batting practice.
I was just thinking, mine is a home run derby of sorts.
That'd be fun.
There was some show, and I was trying to do research on what show it was.
Pros versus Joes?
It wasn't Pros versus Joes.
I like that show.
It was some sort of special that ESPN did back in like 2005, and they had it was some quarterback challenge, but they also had wide receivers there, NFL wide receivers, and they were doing a home run derby of sorts at a minor league stadium, and Jake Delhomme was awesome. He hit like 6 homers. Chad Johnson, I don't think, made contact once.
I could see that.
It was embarrassing watching him try to swing a bat.
I don't think he's good at other things. Cause I feel
soccer. It seems like he'd be good at soccer, but like...
Didn't he try out for an MLS team, though? Or something?
I'm sure he's not good enough playing the MLS, but...
I feel like he tried out, but I feel like I've seen him on a basketball court. He's not very good either. But.
And I actually stole this from Twitter because I thought it was a great idea. Like a wiffle ball tournament, on ESPN, would be a fun one.
I feel like you could do a lot more with baseball as a crossover than the other sports.
And I'm kind of picking off your idea. 3-on-3 basketball tourney featuring non-NBA players. Also, OBJ took batting practice with the Angels, and he was unbelievable. Like, he'd routinely hit the ball out, which I wouldn't think of him being a good baseball player for whatever reason. But good athletes are great athletes.
Yeah.
Regardless. J.J. Watt was he always puts on a celebrity softball tourney every year, but I thought that'd be an interesting question to ask on the show and get your opinion.
Yeah, I'm just really trying to think if there's some other athletes.
I'd like to see, like, tennis players play, like, baseball, because, I mean, they're used to seeing serves that are like 100 miles an
That's
hour.
true.
See if
That's
they could.
true.
And, of course, we've always seen, like, Major League Baseball players try to face, like, Jenny Finch, and it doesn't go very well for them.
I'd be curious to see if there's any, and I'm sure there are some, but, like, who's the most athletic NASCAR driver? You know, because we don't think of that as a real. I mean, they got great reaction time, unbelievable. But I'm sure there's probably some guys who are athletic, but I can't think of who it could be.
And we don't really think of golfers as being super athletic because they're not really jumping or running or anything.
I've seen Ricky Fowler take some BP with the Cardinals.
You would bring
because he lives in Jupiter. He wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't terrible. Golf swing.
He was a motocross guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, until he broke his arm. I think it was arm when he was 14, but he still used to do some of that, yeah. So there's some. Phil Mickelson throws the football really well.
Lefty. Does he throw left-handed?
No, he does everything right except the golf.
I thought he.
And he started golfing lefty when he was really young because he watched his dad swing with the reflection of a mirror. So he was trying to copy it, and with the mirror, it looks like his dad swinging left-handed.
Yeah.
So that's how that happened.
Interesting.
So, kind of sticking on questions. My dad and I were thinking about this today, and I thought it would be good to bring up. Who are some athletes right now in their sport that could be considered the greatest of all time? Like active athletes, in your opinion?
Just pure athleticism or like greatest player?
Greatest player of their sport. All time, like some active right now.
Well, Tom Brady.
Yes, he was one I think you could put in conversation.
Yes.
Who? Okay, and you who? If you had to say who's the greatest NFL player of all time, who are some of the names you even like to bring up in your opinion?
What's crazy is
it's hard because they're all different positions.
Yeah. The first person that popped into my mind was Jim Brown. I don't know why. But he was the guy that popped into my head. He was a man among boys back in the day. Was.
It's so easy just to think of quarterbacks, but
Reggie White was a great football player. The Rev. So was Bruce Smith. I don't know why I'm going.
LT wasn't too bad.
He was also really good.
I did think of quarterbacks. I will say I did think quarterbacks.
Most important position.
I think of Montana and Brady.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even put Montana in the top 5. He won, but
a lot of people do.
I know it because he won.
Yeah,
and he won a lot, which is big. But it's an interesting question, though.
Yeah, but other ones I was thinking Serena Williams.
She's absolutely the greatest women's tennis player of all time. I mean, Federer.
Yes,
you could argue is the greatest.
Yep.
I mean, there's a case to be made for LeBron James. But I wouldn't say he is.
Because when it comes to basketball, I think, of course, Michael Jordan, but I also think Kareem. I don't think he gets enough credit.
No, he was the all-time leading scorer. And is he still?
I think so.
I think so, too.
Wasn't Karl Malone number 2?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not putting him up there, but I'm just saying Wilt Chamberlain was pretty good. I mean,
it is Kareem, 38,000
I mean, I think Michael is the best player ever, but I just don't think Kareem gets all the respect he deserves.
Wayne Gretzky's the greatest hockey player.
Yeah, there's some good hockey players. I mean, Ovechkin and Crosby are good right now, and there's some other good ones, but no.
Yes.
Baseball.
You could argue Mike Trout. Honestly, you really can argue.
Already,
which is insane.
I was going to say maybe eventually, but already.
And baseball is so much tougher because you have, I mean, like Ted Williams, I think, is the greatest hitter of all time. Maybe even Barry Bonds is the greatest hitter of all time. But what Trout can do on the base paths in the field, we're watching Mickey Mantle and no one cares.
Yep.
Because he plays for the Angels, and he's not a huge personality of sorts. He's kind of quiet
and like, I don't think he's the greatest, but I could almost make a argument for Jimmy Johnson in NASCAR. He's going to be retiring here soon. He's
still going, huh?
I would say Richard Petty's the best ever. Gordon's probably right there, but Jimmy doesn't get enough respect. And 6-time Cup champion, and's won like over 70 races. He's pretty darn good.
Yes, he is pretty good.
And that's what's killing the sport of NASCAR. I mean, you had Gordon Jr. and Stewart all kind of retire in 2 or 3 years, and now Jimmy's about ready to retire. They're just losing their big names. They're not really producing.
I couldn't name you one guy other than...
I could name quite a few, but they're not. There's nobody who's just that dominant or that huge fan favorite. So,
Yeah.
But I thought it was an interesting question to think about. Tiger Woods, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, he's either the greatest, if not the greatest. Jack Nicklaus is. I mean, they're right there. It's
Sorry to any soccer listeners. We don't know.
Maybe Messi or Ronaldo? I don't know.
Could be.
I don't know. I don't know enough. But.
I don't either. I don't know either.
Yep.
It's a good question, though.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go to rebuild, Tom?
Yes, and I will say I did not prepare for this as well as I should have, but I have a list from Bleacher Report of 10.
Just going to steal.
10 ones, yes.
So my dad asked this question. I thought it was a great question.
I apologize, Dan. I didn't do my part. So
that's okay. It was a holiday weekend. You were hanging with family. Even though I was hanging with family, I still did my homework.
I know.
And,
I'm taking full blame right now. It's all on me.
But my dad asked, what is the greatest rebuild of all time in all of sports, and what made
I tried
the
to
rebuild
think because
work?
When I was thinking, I thought of a lot of teams that were terrible that turned around and made playoffs. But I'm trying to think of one that won the championship, tore it down, and eventually got back there.
And see,
I can tell you the Bulls didn't.
I went the other direction. I went with a team that was good and then were bad again. They didn't necessarily tear down, but then they won a bunch.
Well, that's kind of what I meant by tear down.
But they didn't tear down the roster. Like, they still had a bunch of veterans and stuff. You could mention, it wouldn't be the greatest rebuild of all time, but the Cubs and Astros, what they did.
I thought about the Cubs.
They completely tore down to the studs, built it back up. There wasn't really a team in the NFL I thought of. My first thought was Seahawks, but they were good before Russell Wilson got there, even like a year before he got there.
Well, one team you could kind of make an argument, but it was only a 1 year downfall was the Colts. Right when they got luck, they went from nothing to 11 wins.
Yeah.
But I don't want to give the Colts any credit.
I mean, they did kind of tear down a little bit. I mean, they went to an AFC championship in like 96, and then weren't very good for a few years. But then drafted Peyton, and they drafted like Edrin and Marvin Harrison, and Dwight Freeney, and so which is kind of really similar to my team, which is the San Francisco Giants. Of course, they won 3 World Series in 5 years.
Yeah, they were good.
Went to playoffs in 2000, lost the World Series in 2002, and then went to the playoffs in 2003. And they won 91 games in 2004, but they missed the playoffs. Bonds was still there from 04 to 07, but they were very, very old team. One of the oldest teams I have ever seen, because I went on their baseball reference page. They were extremely old. Pitching staff was garbage, too. They had 9 position players over the age of 34.
Holy cow.
5 position players over the age of 38. 5 position players.
You weren't kidding when you said they were
over
old.
the age of 38. What made them successful is they drafted really, really well. They took Matt Cain, Tim Lincecum, Madison Bumgarner, Buster Posey, and Joe Panik in the first round. Brandon Crawford, who was their shortstop, 4th rounder. Brandon Bell, who was their first baseman, was a 5th rounder. You look at their bullpen, their 2 primary closers in those 3 World Series years were Brian Wilson, who was a 24th round pick, and then Sergio Romo, who was a 28th round pick. Their other closer was Santiago Casilla, who they signed for like nothing from Oakland. They also signed Pablo Sandoval as an international free agent when he was 16 years old, Kung Fu Panda. They also made some very shrewd veteran free agent deals. Aubrey Huff, who is one of the most unlikable humans on the face of the earth. If you just go look at his Twitter account, see what he's tweeting, he is extremely unlikable, and I do not advise following him, but you can do what you want. It's a free country. Juan Uribe.
I'm glad I have your approval.
Tim Hudson, he was a good pitcher. Santiago Casilla, as I said. Ryan Vogelsong, signed him from the Pirates. He was like in the Korean League or Japanese League for a couple years, and he signed maybe, I don't remember if the Giants were his first team back in the States. Signed him for nothing. He was one of their top 3 pitchers. Jeremy Affeldt, Yusmeiro Petit, Gregor Blanco, also traded for Hunter Pence, Javier Lopez, Jake Peavy, and Marco Scudero at the trade deadline, and Angel Pagan in the offseason. Brian Sabian and the rest of the front office just did an unbelievable job building. I would call it a dynasty. 3 World Series in 5 years. Yeah, the crazy thing is they did not make the playoffs in between the years they won the World Series. And so the greatest rebuild of all time is the San Francisco Giants, in my opinion. I honestly didn't even look at NBA or NFL. And I really just did it from like the past 25 years.
Those were the two leagues I was trying to focus on because I figured yours was going to be baseball related.
And I figured yours would be like NFL or NBA.
But NBA, I'm kind of thinking the Warriors.
Yeah, you can make a case because
they went from winning 27 games to winning a championship in 5 years.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And they've won a lot of them.
Now they've been dominant, and now they had a down year this season. Mm-hmm. What are they going to do now? That could kind of be another rebuild for them.
Well, Steph will be back. Clay will be back.
And they're going to have a good draft pick.
They're going to have a good draft pick.
Yep.
So
and they got money to maybe make a run for the Greek Freak, maybe.
They were garbage for like 20 years,
Awful.
So that's why I didn't consider I considered them, but...
They had the guys like Mookie Blaylock and Skura and what were some of those other guys? Antoine Jameson. And then Baron Davis got him to the playoffs that one year and dunked over somebody on the Mavericks.
We forget how good Baron Davis was.
Really good. Yeah. For the Hornets and the Warriors and the Clippers. But NFL, you can almost say the Saints. They were so bad for so long. They were so bad. And then they get Drew Brees and he leads them right to the NFC Championship.
Because of the Miami Dolphins.
But then you look at teams, there's some teams on the opposite, like the Raiders went forever missing the playoffs. And then they got to the playoffs a few years ago, but didn't have it since because if they kept that strain of making the playoffs going, I would have put them in there.
I thought the Raiders were capable of doing that too, and it just didn't materialize.
Buccaneers, they haven't done anything since that Super Bowl. You can almost say the Rams in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And then they were bad for a while, and then they got back to the Super Bowl
again.
Just 2 years ago.
The Rams is an interesting
Niners.
one. Yeah, I could say the Niners. They were really bad.
And then Harbaugh got there, and they were kind of bad again, and now they're good again.
Patriots have been good
they've been good for too long. Vikings, they seem to have some bad years and then consistently make the playoffs, but they never compete for the championship.
They're never really a team you think of that can go to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I thought they had their chance after they had the miracle Stephon Diggs against the Saints.
How about the Panthers?
They just laid an egg.
How about the Panthers?
Can you say the Panthers?
But it feels like they
haven't been around
one year wonder, really.
Yeah.
Once in a while. But they have made 2 Super Bowls and an NFC Championship in their history.
They're kind of like the Florida Marlins without winning. Yeah. Because they came around about the same time. I think Panthers 96-ish, and Marlins were like 93.
Didn't the Panthers and the Jaguars come in the league at the same time?
I think so. And then they kind of came out of nowhere, went to a Super Bowl and lost, and then they've been okay since then.
In 95.
But then got number 1 overall pick, took Cam Newton, goes to a Super Bowl, and then haven't really. I think they've been to the playoffs once since then.
Yeah.
Or maybe twice, but
that's a good question, good topic. Mm-hmm. Really hard to. I was trying today. I was talking on the golf course with some guys, giving them this question. Nobody could really come up with one. They all said, "We know it's not the Bulls."
It's definitely not the Bulls. They've been, I thought they did it when they had Derrick Rose and I think they got the 1 seed one year too and lost it.
Yeah, was that the year he blew his knee out?
It might have been. That was
they got the 1 seed. They got the one. They might have had back-to-back years because they got the 1 seed and the Pacers gave them everything they wanted as an 8 seed in 2011 in the playoffs.
I do remember that one.
They might have made the Eastern Conference Finals that year, maybe. Maybe not.
My NBA.
No. Because I feel like they lost to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference. No, that's not right either. I'm going to shut up before I say something.
NBA fandom ended the moment Derrick Rose blew his knee out. I kind of got back into it when Rose was there.
Yeah, and Darren.
And I was a Darren Williams fan. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
That was a good topic, though.
Yeah, that's...
And now... My mother came in with a suggestion she saw on, I think, Instagram. It was stolen from Cubs Talk Twitter account. Who's the first person you think of that was not necessarily the best, but was still one of your favorite players because of the effort he gave? So I went through my top 3 teams. Do you have your answers, or are you just going to fly with them?
I'll fly with them, but you go ahead.
All right.
Give me a little more time to think.
So she asked me this on Friday, who... it was for the Cubs, and the first person I thought of was Darwin Barney.
Interesting.
He definitely wasn't a very good player, but he did win a Gold Glove. But he just gave all-out effort. He was one of the few bright spots on just horrendous Cubs teams. The other guy I thought of was David DeJesus because he was an actual solid Major League player on some really bad teams. But Darwin Barney's my answer. Illinois basketball, Chester Frazier.
Yep.
Love Chester Frazier. He's one of the best rebounding guards I've ever seen that's under 6'2". He was just an ultimate glue guy, and they would have probably won at least a game, maybe two in the NCAA tournament in 2009 if he wouldn't have broke his hand in practice leading up to the Big Ten tournament, and he couldn't play. Then Dolphins, Jeremiah Bell, safety. He was with the Dolphins for 8 seasons. He was a 6th-round pick out of Eastern Kentucky. Worked his butt off to make the team, then becomes their primary safety when they went to the playoffs in 2008. Ended up being rewarded by making a Pro Bowl. So those are my 3 guys. Who you got?
Oh, no Illinois football?
Not an Illinois football fan.
No Miami Hurricanes?
You know.
You could pick anyone off that 0-2 team.
Yeah, but they were loaded with NFL players, so I don't have a Miami player. Sorry.
All right. You can get back to me on that one.
All right, okay.
So, I'll save the Denver Broncos for last because I'm still kind of chewing on that one. But Purdue basketball is Chris Kramer.
Oh, I figured he would be your guy.
He's a fan favorite, but like you were kind of talking about Chester Frazier, tough as nails, glue guy, kind of hard to the team. Could have scored more if he wanted to, but knew his role on the team. Knew we needed to get the ball to guys like Robbie Hummel, Etwan Moore, Juwan Johnson, and just fill in his role. Purdue football, this one's tough. I thought about a lot of different guys in my head. But honestly, one's recent. I'd say Elijah Sindelar. I was a big Elijah Sindelar fan.
You were.
I thought he had all the tools to be in the NFL. Just injuries, man. He just couldn't really catch a break. Could have came back for a 6th season, but I think made the right choice to step away from the game due to really not only his collarbone, but the concussion that scared him more than anything.
Now, did he transfer or is
no?
he
He's
just
working.
Retiring?
And I actually know this because I heard an interview with him. He's working at the Chrysler plant down around like the Tipton, Kokomo area.
Interesting.
He's an engineer there. So he's already graduated in the working world. He graduated in December actually. So he's been in the working world.
Seems like he was there for 8 years.
Yeah, he was there for a long time. And I could say a few other quarterbacks at Purdue that he had injuries and different things. But and there's some defenders back in 2003. I love that Purdue 2003 defense. I don't think they've ever had a better defense in school history than that defense. And then Denver Broncos, I'm going to go into Demarius Thomas.
He was a really good player, though.
I know he's good, but he's one that probably a lot of people don't think of right away when they think about the Broncos. But if you want me to go in that direction of one that's not thought about, Noshawn Moreno would be one.
The question was literally who was a player that wasn't very good. But
I tuned out the very good question. Noshawn Moreno, I guess.
That wasn't the greatest, I should say. No.
Yeah. Noshawn Moreno, I guess, would be one.
I liked old Noshawn.
I thought he played with a lot of heart. Another guy who just career was riddled by injuries. I mean, he's a first-round draft pick. So
Demarius Thomas had 5 straight years with 90 catches.
Yes. Thank you, Peyton Manning.
4 straight years over 1,300 yards and 3 straight years over 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So he was a very, very, very good player.
Yeah, I just don't think he gets enough respect from Bronco fans, I guess. That's why
it didn't end well for him. They shipped him off to Houston, didn't they?
Yeah, now he's a free agent and still wanted to play. And he went to New England for a little bit.
I did forget about him going to New England.
And he was a Jet.
He was a Jet.
I mean, he's been all over the place in a few years. I think he will be arena famer for Denver someday. But yeah, I'll go with Noshawn Moreno. Had a few good seasons and moments when he was healthy, just couldn't stay healthy, but he always gave it his all. So.
I'll never forget him dislocating his elbow when he was with the Dolphins. He planted it, and somebody landed on it. And wasn't great.
I mean, I could have went with, like Kyle Orton, who was the main reason why I became a Bronco fan, but
that would have been a far better one.
Could have, but
Yankee?
Ooh,
I was thinking like...
Nick Swisher.
I was just about to say I was thinking Nick Swisher.
That was a no-brainer, I had to think, yeah. He was a fan favorite. Everybody loved Swisher. He had a few decent seasons, but wasn't the greatest.
Would they do the roll call? Didn't he drop his glove and salute?
Turn around and salute. Yeah, and all the other guys just kind of play it off so...
Yeah, Jeter barely even acknowledged does he? Just,
some of them,
same with A-Rod.
They have to yell forever to get the people to acknowledge them, so... that's a good question. I like that question a lot.
The J-Man's Book of Prediction of the Week. We forgot to say this earlier.
Yes.
Brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Watchering for life, home, auto, renters, business, workers' comp, and farm. Contact Travis at 219-869-4561. Also at travis.watchering@infb.com.
Yeah, give him a follow on the Twitter.
Yes,
on Facebook.
He has a business Twitter and a business Facebook.
Yep. It's worth your follow. A lot
yes,
of good
sir.
information regarding insurance on there. I'm on ESPN's homepage right here, and I see something that says Tua in position to become the face of South Florida sports. Thoughts on that?
The Dolphins have not had a face of their franchise since Shula and Marino. So somebody needs to step up, and he obviously would be the guy. Tannehill was never going to be that guy. Fans didn't want him to begin with. You think a first-round pick quarterbacks be the franchise guy, but fans didn't really want him. He wasn't that great. So Tua is number 1 and number 2 in jersey sales still since the NFL draft.
Do you think that's a combination of Dolphin fans, Hawaii, and Alabama fans?
I think it's, yes, a combination. And Dolphins fans are starving for some good news. Because, Dolphin fans travel really well. They're everywhere because they were good back in the day, and there's a lot of old Dolphin fans. But it also has something to do with, I think, Tua's number 1 jersey is really cool, especially in the throwback style. It's just kind of a cool jersey to have. And it's number 1.
I think the only other number 1 is Cam Newton.
He's not signed, so.
Mm-mm. If I'm Cam, I wait till the season starts and see who gets hurt.
Yeah.
If we have a season, which I think we will. But
Panthers kind of.
They put all their faith in Teddy.
Yeah, and they waited way too long to release Cam. It kind of screwed him over a little bit.
But wasn't he released the same time as Andy Dalton?
Yeah, but Cam still can be a starter. Yeah. Dalton couldn't.
Yeah, you're right. Same thing with Joe Flacco, who just got picked up by the Jets. So, I know a topic I wanted to talk about tonight. Justin Smith, transferring from Indiana.
Yes. Yeah,
starter for Indiana, transferring.
Yeah, he's heard from a lot of schools too.
3 or 4 Big Ten schools, including both of our schools.
Purdue and Illinois were the only 2 I saw.
Northwestern.
No, well, they're not a Big Ten school. They just happen to be in the same conference.
I would be shocked if he ends up at Purdue, but it's interesting that they've reached out. They do have some scholarships they can burn in a short period, but
so is Illinois.
I don't know. Justin, he's lazy on defense. He can't shoot very well.
Yeah.
He's athletic. That's about it. And his dad's kind of causes problems, and Purdue's already been through that lately with Nigel Eastern and his mom. I don't know if they want to go through that again.
So is Illinois with Mark Smith and his dad.
So I'd be surprised if he
and Alan Griffin
stays in the Big Ten, but I'd be really surprised if he went to Purdue because that would just be a slap in the face to his former school and fan base.
He's from Lincolnshire, Illinois. Went to Stevenson. He was I don't know if he was a high school teammate of Jalen Brunson, but it was the same school. Brunson might have been a senior when he was an 8th grader, maybe senior freshman. So, of course, the Illinois message board is like, do we want him? And the consensus has been,
That's kind of like Purdue's. I mean, some are like, we'd take him, but
Illinois needs an athletic 4-man.
Yeah, he would fit the bill.
I don't know if he's a great fit scheme-wise because he doesn't shoot very well, but he'd be the best dunker they've had in a long time. He doesn't really rebound that great for his size.
Maybe a different coach besides little Archie could get him to play hard, but I feel like he's already been that way for 4 years. What's going to change now?
Yes, Archie is either loved or hated, and it should be right in the middle. I don't think he's nearly as bad as some people think he is.
And he's nearly as good. Yeah, I agree.
And not nearly as good as the god he's been portrayed.
Yeah, I don't really see that. But a lot of Indiana fans didn't like Tom Crean, and he won some Big Ten championships.
He did.
I think it all goes back to that team that got knocked out by Syracuse in the Sweet 16 that had Zeller and Oladipo on it.
I was thinking, they ride on Archie for underachieving, but didn't Tom Crean underachieve? Because he never got past the Sweet 16, but then I'm thinking he went to 3 Sweet 16s
out of 2 or 3 Big Ten titles, 2 in 4 years.
Yeah, so he didn't underachieve at all. He just never got them to a Final Four, but it's so hard to get there.
And it just baffles me how many head coaches Indiana basketball's had since 2000. Bob Knight, Mike Davis, Kelvin Sampson. You could count Dan Dockage, but I wasn't going to. Tom Crean, and now Archie Miller. I mean, that's quite a few. I just consider myself lucky. My My schools literally had 2 in almost 40-year span.
Your college football team, too. I mean, you had the Hope and what was that guy's name?
Daryl
Hazel years. But.
Yeah, for a while it was Tiller, and then it was 4 years of Hope, 4 years of Hazel. Now it's the 4th year of Brom. That's not awful.
No, 4 in 20 years. I mean, that's changing head coach every 5 years. That's a pretty good pace compared to what some schools are on.
And I'm lucky I don't remember like the Jim Coletto years or the Fred Aker years or the, back before that, because they changed coaches quite a bit before that. They weren't very good, but yeah.
Neato.
Because Illinois had some transition.
Illinois basketball?
Yeah, coach-wise. I mean,
they went from Lou Henson definitely didn't coach in the 2000s with Illinois. They had Lon Kruger, Self, Weber, Gross, and
not
5
tons, I guess, but
it's one every 4 years though.
It's had quite a few.
I couldn't even name you all of them.
I just remember Zook. I don't remember the guy before him.
Ron Turner.
Oh yeah, see, Turner, Zook,
Beckman, and Lovey, and Cubit.
Yeah.
It's
not
as many as I thought it would be.
Zook had a little good run there.
Cubit, he was technically there a year, but he was an interim guy that it was a lame duck year. Illinois could have had old boat rower PJ Fleck.
Yeah, probably should have
easily had him,
yep.
But they waited to fire their athletic director before the last game of the finals or the final game of the regular season in 2015 instead of firing him when they fired Tim Beckman, and they wouldn't let their assistant athletic director make a hire or fire, and then they waited until Whitman got there, and his first day on the job he fired Bill Cubit and hired Lovie Smith.
But you don't care.
Could have hired PJ Fleck or Dino Babers. I'd be saying this exact same thing if Purdue was in this spot. Exact same words. They could have had Les Miles. Look what he's doing at Kansas.
I forgot about that. Oh man.
Well, they were actually competitive. I think they still went 3-9, but
I forgot he's even at Kansas. But that's a good one. But
halfway decently competitive.
Before I get to the Birdie Bogey, my grandpa Lee, who's watching the show,
Mr. Lee,
said Baby Ruth candy bar was named after President Grover Cleveland's daughter. There we go. Learned something really really
interesting.
Yeah.
Your grandpa Lee is just
he chimed in last week after the
overflowing with knowledge.
Yeah, he gave us some 2 guys I'd never heard of that would have been better selections than the late Jerry Sloan.
Yes.
Who passed away last week.
Every time I'm around your grandpa, I learn at least 1 or 2 new things. Yeah.
Very smart guy. So, Birdie Bogey question, J-Man, was since 1965, there's been 2 number 1 overall picks in the MLB draft that went on to be Hall of Famers. Who are they?
Who was in the Hall of Fame?
It might have been since 75, but I think it was since 65. Either way.
Man, I don't think this guy went number 1 overall. He's not in the Hall of Fame anyway, so that... I was thinking Barry Bonds, but I think he went 2nd or 3rd or 4th. He's not in the Hall of Fame. Man, I have no idea. It's probably going to make me extremely upset when I hear it. Have they played in our lifetime?
Yes.
Both of them?
Yes.
And they're in the Hall of Fame, number 1.
I'm not giving you any more clues.
Overall picks. I'm so bad
Come on, you're the walking baseball encyclopedia of knowledge in Rochester.
I'm so bad with MLB draft trivia. Who went number 1 overall? I'm faced. I have no idea.
Just throw out 2 names. At least throw out 1 name.
I don't even know who's been in the Hall of Fame here.
Well, that's your fault. They're both really good players.
I'm sure they're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that was kind of dumb by me.
I have no idea.
Sweet swinging King Griffey Jr.
Oh my gosh, that was the one I should have got.
Chipper Jones.
Oh, that's embarrassing. Sorry, Andrew. I know how when I forget anything of Andrew's teams. Like
you forget to talk about the Reds. You forget Gordon Hayward.
I forgot Gordon Hayward when talking about the NBA players from Indiana colleges, and I got ripped on by Andrew Eiler. This is going to be so much worse. Can we Ken Griffey Jr. and Chipper Jones?
There you go.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you a triple bogey for that one.
I deserve it.
Wrap us up, J-Man.
Thanks for watching and listening to the Tan and J-Man Show on the ISC Sports Network, as well as ISCSportsNetwork.com and the free ISC Sports Network app. Happy Memorial Day. We'll be back at it next Monday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have a great rest of the week, everybody, and we'll see you next week.